Scrintal has massively updated since last time I reviewed it, changing some of the way that they manage documents, boards, and much more, and they've had a total facelift. Today we're going to be diving into Scrintal to see whether it's worth it for you. This is a very interesting note-taking application and works as a visual note-taking experience to help you to organise all of your ideas from research all the way to planning a trip. We're really going to dig into it in today's video and help to see whether it's right for you. Welcome there, my name is Francesco D'Alessio. If you're new here to the channel, jump over to Toolfinder and do subscribe. It'd be fantastic to see you over there. And if you do fancy the look of Scrintal at the end of this video, you can download it in the link in the description. And obviously all of that helps to support the channel to grow and build resources. But we're here to give you an in-depth review looking at all aspects of this, including the pros, cons, pricing, and much more. So let's dive into the pricing to begin with. So this is very much what Scrintal looks like now, and before we dive into that, let's look at the pricing because that's incredibly important. Now the pricing has changed quite dramatically. As you can see here on this left hand side, I do apologise it's in British pounds, but you can see that it's £15.09, so about £16 a month, which is obviously quite high, but obviously they're touting the Pro plan to be obviously much more suitable. So that's £100 for the year, which at the same time is probably not too bad. Like 100 divided by 12 is just lower than £9 per month, which is pretty in line with the pricing, although probably on the slightly more expensive end. Now, obviously with this, they've had entire brand overhaul in terms of what their colors look like, what their logo looks like, but this is going to dig into some of the core experiences of this app. So one thing that has changed is that although you still get your My Desk area, the way that you go ahead and create things has changed. Now there are a thing called boards as part of this. So down here, I can go ahead and create a board. And boards are a place to dig into a canvas that is separate from your My Desk area. And this is helpful and very similar to what Milanote created many, many years ago, but allows you to break away from the space, share the board, and collaborate with other people. You can see that I've created some boards around here, and each of these boards sort of exists as separate entities, which is great for organizing and planning concepts. So I'm going to go to this board that I created earlier, or was it this board? I can't remember. Let's go over to it at least. And as you can see, it's a blank board, but I've started to write some of the items on here. So you can see that I've got I guess these sort of Kanban type structures, and it's slightly different with this application because if I start typing something, maybe put using Markdown, type in Wednesday the 23rd of October, and I give it a nice new color, then I can make that longer. And that sort of lives as its own block of content. Now I can at any given time turn this into a document, which is incredibly helpful. But if I had this here, and I'll just remove that for demonstration's sake, I can move this between different elements, which is incredibly helpful. You can also reduce the size of this to a snippet or just a compact, but you can see that I have full here, which is great. And this is a document. This little thing here is a document, so it can break away from this, or it can connect up to this and move between elements. Now, why is that helpful? Well, it sort of is helpful because you can create these blocks and turn them into documents and expand them. So for example, you could say, go to the museum. I really don't know how to spell museum, so that's incredibly poor. But I can move these blocks across different things, or I can actually extend and copy that into a document, and that will live inside of this document, which means that it's available in 2 locations. So this is what that document looks like at the moment, and it's quite helpful because I can see that it's linked to here, but it's its own document. It lives outside of the board, and it can be updated in real time, which is helpful. So obviously when I'm in the different areas, for example, just navigating back to this one it is that I was at, I can naturally start using this as documents. I can actually merge 2 documents together if I want to, and that's quite helpful. So in this case, I can insert a document and use the library to find one. So in this case, I put welcome to Scrintal maybe as an example, But you can see there, I've got these 2 documents created, and I can even interweave documents as well that have been created as part of that. So incredibly helpful for building stuff out. And if I delete a document, you can start to see that that updates site-wide. So that's very, very helpful to start bringing stuff in. So obviously this is helpful because you can interact with it more often. It's more structured, but you can also create new blocks up here. So for example, if I want to scan through all of the blocks that I can create, you can add multimedia, PDFs and things like that, videos, which is quite helpful. But that element of finding things is quite helpful as well. So if I, just for demonstration's sake, find a meeting note and add it to the board, I can weave this in really nicely. So I don't have to do any heavy lifting to bring something over to this experience. Now, there are a bunch of templates that you can steal from over here. So for example, you can use a timeline, which brings in this whole process if you want to. And these are in-page documents, which is quite helpful. Or you can actually create an in-page document and bring it straight into the system. But it gives a little bit more structure than there was there before, at least. So for example, before, this is sort of what it looked like to some extent, because you had sort of a more of an open canvas, where as this element could actually be turned into a document, which might actually help you to go to that and find out and update it and keep it refreshed for your team. So there are obviously some great ways that you can use this in terms of managing your documents and your boards. And you can see that there's migrated ones. So for example, this is a legacy board, so you can indicate what is a former board and what is a previous board, say if they had a completely different setup. So other elements of this, that you can see the links up here and the backlinks as well that are created. Now, documents are easy to manage because you can open them up and start managing them and start using them like you would anything else. Down in the bottom corner here, you can see words and characters. You can also add multimedia as well, which is very helpful as well in adding a time and details like that. So searches also become really useful because you can start weaving these different documents and be able to open them at multiple times, which is very helpful. Up the top here, you can star stuff, which pins it to the right-hand side. Let's go over to settings to see if anything's changed. You can also go back to the version 1 of the boards and see whether you want dotted lines and things like that, as well as there is a newer task mode, which is currently experimental, but that's something to consider as well for the future of this application, as they are planning to add that near enough and very soon. So all in all, those are the biggest changes to Scrintal. For those who are watching this and already know some of the basics, or maybe even don't know some of the basics, it's very much a visual note-taking application. I want to touch on the pros first of using an app like this, and then I want to look at the cons. So the pros are that if you're a visual person and a visual note taker, this will give you the structure of documents and the boards that balances both experiences. So if you're somebody that likes to be more canvas-led, open and more free and playful, then you can use the structure like this. But if you want to have a focused experience, then you can open it up and have that. A lot of people do like switching between them. And also the ability to build a PKM networked forward experience. I also like the elements of the My Desk area, which will help you to organize stuff. And the more recent adaptations to how this works down here at the bottom bar is incredibly helpful, because the documents are going to really help structure that, and the ability to add in items from your library. So let's look at the cons of this application. If you look in this app as a serious note-taking app for you, then there are a few things that sort of go unnoticed. And the fact that it doesn't have a mobile application is a bit of a shame. You can naturally access this on Mac and Windows, I believe, but as a side of having a dedicated mobile app, it doesn't have that. Even a reader experience, which is a bit of a shame. I can imagine they'll add this in the near future, but at the same time, it's something to note. The experience as well does take some time to get used to. For example, these new blocks and these new docs, it's strange because building them out and sort of expanding them will take a little bit of time to get used to it. It's a little bit finicky to get started with. which can for some people be one of those things that might put them off an application like this. But once you get using them and actually building from those concepts, I think you'll probably find them incredibly valuable. There's a full video worth exploring which helps you to understand what they're trying to do. They're calling this the playground for your mind, which obviously hints at potential elements in the future that do even more than this. But if you're a visual thinker, it's well worth considering Scrintal. It's been updated and advanced, so it can be a real contender in this space. Maybe soon I'll do some more deep dives into these type of applications, but for now, check out Scrintal in the link in the description and consider it as one of your options if you're looking for a visual note taker, because it's done a good job in this recent update. So thank you very much. I hope you found this video useful. Please do let me know if you have any comments, and I look forward to helping you find the best note taking app of the future. Cheerio for now, and do make sure to subscribe.